who am I? Who am I to be doing this work? There's people who do this so much better than I do, who have the credentials or the press or the podcast appearances or the best-selling book. Who am I to do this? If you've asked yourself these questions, you're not alone. I would ask myself these questions. I still do. We put this neat label on it called imposter syndrome, and it holds us back from doing so many things that we really care about and from growing practices that really reflect who we are, what we want, and the value we bring to our clients. The answer isn't so simple or so narrow that it's just about imposter syndrome. It really is about claiming credit, seeing our value, and doing what I call embracing your story. Often the biggest thing I see standing between you and the business you want to have, it's not your website or your offers or your message. It's that you haven't given yourself permission to embrace your story. So by the end of today's episode, you'll discover why embracing your story is so important and why it's the key to building a sustainable, profitable, joy-filled practice. I'm even going to give you practical ways to start doing it right now so you can kick imposter syndrome and all her diva sisters to the curb. Let's do it. Welcome to the Establish Yourself podcast, the show that helps coaches and consultants get clear on how to talk about what you do, simplify your offers, and have more fun in your business and beyond. I'm Annie Franceschi, brand strategist, author, former Disney storyteller, and forever Muppet fan. I'm here to help you clarify your message, package your expertise, and streamline your systems to grow a business you actually enjoy. If you're ready for less confusion and more magic, it's time to establish yourself. So embrace your story. It's the first of 3 parts of the Establish Yourself framework, a strategy I teach in my book, Establish Yourself. But to understand it, we got to talk about one of my favorite things in the world, Disney magic. If you know me, you know that not only did I work as a cast member at Disney for 5 years, I'm also a lifelong Disney nerd. My joke is they paid me for a while and now I am paying them back with interest. You know, what's the saying? You can take the girl out of Disney, but you can't take Disney out of the girl. Here's the thing. Disney isn't just my favorite place and my favorite company on this planet. They also have a world-class brand, one that shows up in just about everything they do. And there's one example of this that I really love. Did you know that there is no such thing as a lost child at Walt Disney World? There are only lost parents. So if a kid gets separated from their parents at the theme park and they walk up to a cast member and tell them that they're lost, the cast member does this curious thing. They'll say something like, "Don't worry, you're not lost. You're right here. We know where you are. It's just your parents who are lost. Let's find them." Everything is about how you tell the story. And your business, it's no exception. What I love about this Disney example is that everything is branding. How you choose to position the story for yourself and for others. I see so many of us struggling with the most core part of being in business, believing in yourself and your expertise. If you haven't clearly defined what you do and don't do, if you haven't committed to really doing it and showing up with confidence, if you don't show up as the expert, well, why are other people going to invest in you? I know you're really good at what you do. You've got the experience, you've got the results, you've been doing this type of work for years, if not decades. But I know somewhere deep down, there's the yeah, but there's this person who does it better than me, or this person I've always been in the shadow of, or my path wasn't the traditional path to what I do. I don't have the right resume or credentials. If I really talk about what I do, am I going to sound self-promotional? Are people going to tune out or think I'm too salesy? So then what happens to us when we don't tell that story with confidence? You downplay your expertise. You undercharge. You hesitate to put yourself out there. You keep your brilliance small because some part of you feels like maybe you didn't earn the right to take up the space. I get that. I have been there many, many times in my career, both when I worked in Hollywood and when I've been an entrepreneur these last 12 years. I've had moments in my business where I struggled with all 3 of these things. First, having an imperfect path to the work I do now. I mean, I went and quit a job, a dream job at Disney, to start my own business when I didn't even know how to pay taxes. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I went from working on movies at Disney to helping real people like you tell your story through your brand. But it's not like I went to brand school. I didn't become a certified brand strategist. I didn't work at an ad agency. It wasn't a straight line. And I was letting that hold me back for a long time. Second, I struggled to give myself credit. Even after hundreds of clients and multiple six figures in revenue, there were still times that I would think, well, am I really qualified to teach this? And, why can't I be as successful as this person or that person? And third, worrying about being self promotional. Especially as a woman in business, there is this fear of being too much, coming across as pushy or salesy, and you got to watch how confident you are. But here's something really important I've learned that I want you to take away from today. It's what Brene Brown talks about in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. She says, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing that we will ever do. I know it takes courageous confidence to show up every day and make your expertise available in the form of a business. It takes summoning a ton of belief in yourself. And as I've learned over and over in my work, especially as I've launched new programs and products and started new years, my business really succeeds when I choose to believe in it, and it doesn't when I don't. So before I can teach you any branding best practices or build your website or help you fine tune your message and your offers, everything has to start with you, checking in with you. We have to face this head on. We have to be our own first investors, followers, and clients. We have to find our way to not just own our story, but to embrace it. So that's why I came up with this framing of embrace your story. It's part of the Establish Yourself framework. And I named it Embrace Your Story because of the word embrace. It means to accept or support a belief, theory, or change willingly and enthusiastically. Willingly, enthusiastically, not apologetically, not with a bunch of disclaimers and yeah, buts. Let this time, this, January of it all, as if you're listening to this as it's coming out, this time to support yourself willingly, enthusiastically, to lead the way that you want others to follow, to reframe and rebrand how you tell your story. So today I want to walk you through how to embrace your story in 3 key ways. The first, find permission. Give yourself permission to embrace your story. I know that sounds simple, but it's not easy. I think this comes from recognizing that we're carrying around a lot of these invisible rules about what we're supposed to say and what we're allowed to show up and do and who gets to be an expert. But a lot of these rules, if we stop to really look at them, they're ones we made up, or they're ones we inherited from somebody else who probably made them up too. These show up in things like having an imperfect path. I mentioned that I didn't go to branding school, and yet I do branding for a living. It's okay. We all come to things in our different ways. Our unconventional paths are not liabilities, they are our strengths. We struggle to give ourselves credit. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people where I've had to kind of force them to do back of the envelope math, and they had no idea the thousands of people they'd impacted until we wrote it down. And then really needing to give ourselves permission to be more confident, to confront the boogeyman of being self promotional and realize that people are not going to invest in us or even know about us if we're not willing to speak up. If we're so afraid of being salesy that we hide ourselves under a rock, we are not giving ourselves permission to embrace our story. So I want to encourage you to consider writing down 3 things. One way your imperfect path actually makes you better at what you do than if you'd had the perfect background. 2, one result that you've gotten for a client that you can fully own. And 3, one way that you can talk about your value that's in service to your ideal client. Write them down. You don't got to share them with anybody or me, but you need to see them. See them in black and white. So that's the first piece. Give yourself permission. Find that permission to embrace your story. The second piece, get clear on what that story is. What is the story you're actually telling? Everything is how you tell the story, right? So this is the part where so many people get stuck. They try to tell every single story about themselves. They try to appeal to everybody, trying to be everything to everyone because you don't want to miss an opportunity. But clarity and confidence, they come from choice. You need to get clear on two things: your most valuable service and your most ideal client. If you can articulate those both and you can talk to someone tomorrow and say, this is what I do, who it's for, this is the problem it solves for someone specific, that is what I call packaging your process. It's something I help clients do through one-to-one experiences and a group cohort as well. But what I want you to know about it is it's incredibly important to not just say, hey, I'm a consultant, X, Y, or Z, but to have something ready to go, to know how to talk about what you do in a way that someone can go buy it tomorrow. That is the kind of clarity you need about your story to embrace it. If you need help with it, you know where to find me. The last piece of this, as you work toward embracing your story, you've given yourself permission, you've gotten clear on what it is. What is the thing you are greatest at that you want to offer to who? You're going to need the tools to tell it. So I think this is where a lot of people think they need to go hire a designer and spend tens of thousands of dollars on a brand identity. And if you have the budget to do that and that's where you're stuck, then that's great. But I don't think that's really where it has to start or where it should start. I believe you want to start building what I call a branding toolkit. These are the most important assets you need to define or have created to shape your business and translate your value with success. These are the things you're going to need, and these are tools that I help create in Package Your Process with the Expert. Things like your tagline, a very quick and simple visual identity, a one-page website, a framework or the start of one, and some sort of testimonials, some social proof that shows that you know what you are doing. You don't need all this to be perfect, but you do need it to exist because every time somebody interacts with your business, they're forming an impression of you. Your brand already exists, you just get to impact it. And you want that impression to be really intentional. I want you to look at what you already have. This is not about having everything in the world, but do you have enough that you can go out and share what it is you do and what offer you have to help someone else? If you've loved what I've said today, this is really the beginning of how to establish yourself, how to go from being just any coach or consultant to being someone who's sought after, someone who's looked up to, someone who really loves what they do and makes good money doing it. How do you establish yourself as an expert? That was the question I set out to develop my practice around. And that's the book that I wrote called Establish Yourself. And not only do I have an entire book, I have what next to no business authors have, which is an action club. The Establish Yourself Action Club is the thing that I wish someone would have built when I read a great business book. This is a expert-led community where you can meet with me once a month, bring me your questions that are sparked by the book and this podcast and the real work you're doing to embrace your story, to connect with me and your peers and the folks that are working to do this really important task of owning your value, taking imperfect action, but action nonetheless, because action is what changes everything. So we are going into our fourth year of the Action Club, and I do open it usually about once a year, and it is open right now for an incredibly limited time. It's the perfect place to put all of this into practice. When you join the Action Club, you get a digital copy of my best-selling book, plus access to my community with once a month live sessions, no Facebook group to keep up with, and a vault of more than 40 proven resources, templates, and trainings. Things you've heard me talk about on the podcast, like clients from speaking and get better testimonials, and even my super simple goals process. It's all there in the vault waiting for you, designed to help you embrace your story and so much more, grow your business, and establish yourself as the expert you and I both know you are. I created this because I've learned the hard way. Information is great, but transformation happens through implementation, through taking action. Not perfect action, but smart action. You can go read about embracing your story all day long, but until you actually do the work of giving yourself permission, getting clear on your message, building your toolkit, nothing's going to change. Action Club is one way to get the structure, support, and accountability to make it happen. If you're ready to stop second guessing yourself and start showing up as that confident expert you are, Action Club could be for you. Learn more about it at greateststorycreative.com/action club. We are closing doors on Thursday, January 8th at 12 p.m. EST, just in time for this month's meetup. All right, let's recap what we covered today. If you want to embrace your story and feel good building a business you can be really proud of, here's the 3 things you're going to need. First, find permission. Stop letting your imperfect path, your lack of credit, a fear of being self-promotional keep you from fully owning and embracing your expertise. Your story is your asset, not a liability. Second, get clear. Define your most valuable service and your most ideal client. Package your process, and you'll see how clarity comes from those choices. Third, work on building your toolkit. You don't need everything to be perfect, but you do need some foundational things in place to tell your story consistently and confidently. Remember, your business will succeed when you choose to believe in it, and that starts with embracing your story. Hey, do you like surprises? The credits are about to roll, but just like a Marvel movie, stick around to the end for something I put in just for you. Thanks for listening to the Establish Yourself podcast. I'm Annie Franceschi, and if you're enjoying the show, it would mean so much to me if you follow it, leave a quick rating, or share it with a friend. And for free branding resources and more ways to work together, head to greateststorycreative.com/podcast. Now here it is, your moment of magic. So talk about an imperfect path. I've mentioned that I took a stand-up comedy class, right? So over batch December, I got up my nerve to do my first open mic. And y'all, it was bad. It was so bad. I know like people were nice to me and they were like, "Oh no, it was good. It was good." No, it was not. It was not good. I definitely made some big mistakes. I'm going to share more about that with Action Club this week and some things I learned from it. But I just wanted to share with you that none of us start out being really great at anything we do. And I remember the big thing I took away from this happening in mid-December was I'm kind of glad I wasn't good at it. I know that sounds weird, but like I actually need to get more comfortable with not hitting an A plus all the time and just kind of enjoying the journey of learning. So if you're trying something new, especially with resolutions and things like that, I just want to encourage you to say, like, I'm out here trying something new. I'm not very good at it, that things that maybe I should have been good at, but like I'm still trying. And I know you will too. And one of the things I'm working on for this new year is to make the goal the experience and less the outcome. When everything is based on, I'm going to go have this experience, things are more of a win. Again, every time, everything comes back to how you tell the story.